As a former leftist, I can definitively say that my biggest issue with leftists is their unwavering commitment to mistaking all of their baseless aggression as some sort of righteous anger. Accusing people of being fascists because they're happy is not productive, right? You can't just see that someone's happy and content and be like, oh, that's suspicious that you're happy right now given all the things going on in the world. Babe, what? Like, that's not rooted in reality. You're just baselessly and the fact that they think everything that they do and they're angry about is righteous is a problem. It's genuinely a problem, and these are people that don't get told that they're weird enough because they live in an echo chamber. They live in an echo chamber online. They live in an echo chamber in their social circles in real life. People love to tell me that the examples that I often provide don't happen or that I'm making them up. And not only do I know that they're lying or they're just not real leftists in actual leftist circles, but I know that they're lying because this happens outside of leftist circles, right? I saw a video of a girl one time and she was eating kava and she was like alerting people like, hey, like the kava at this location in LA is bad. Like I found a bug in my kava. It's flooded, absolutely flooded, being like, girl, we don't eat at kava anymore. We're boycotting. Wow, you're gonna eat at kava? How uneducated. Really ripping into this girl for like notifying people that this kava that she ate at was gross. Specifically, I'm speaking to the everything is political crowd. Everything is not political, and you guys actually need to get over that. The left is freed from performative moral grandstanding and purity tests, we will truly all rejoice. Until then, I really am not going to engage with them as like valid political movement because they simply aren't. They're just miserable, and cancel culture harassment campaigns against normal people doing innocuous things.
Or yo, I'm not even gonna lie. He's actually spot on with this take. And it's kind of wild when you really sit back and think about it, because society has reached a point where literally everything is turning into some kind of test or interrogation. Like I've seen these clips, and maybe you've seen them too, where women are out here on dates, right? And instead of just vibing, getting to know the person, enjoying the moment, the first thing they want to do is hit the guy with, so, who did you vote for? And I'm sitting there like, wait, hold on. That's the first filter now? And the funny part is, I'm thinking to myself, couldn't you have figured that out before the date? Like a simple phone call, a text, something? Why wait until you're sitting across the table, food ordered, time invested, just to decide if you even want to continue? It almost feels like you're using the situation for a free outing at that point. Let's be real. But honestly, that's just surface level. The deeper issue is this. Why is every single conversation turning into political theater? And I mean everything. You step outside, boom, politics. You say something random, boom, somehow it circles back to red versus blue. It's like there's no off switch anymore. And from what I've seen, things have gotten especially extreme on certain sides. Like over the past few months, you've got people out here openly advocating for stuff without even questioning it. No nuance, no balance, just blind support. And if you've actually gone outside and observed some of these interactions in real life, not just online, it's honestly shocking. I'm telling you, go out and watch for yourself. It almost feels like you're watching some kind of social experiment or, dare I say, a zoo exhibit. You'll see people so locked into their beliefs that it doesn't even matter what you show them. And that's the craziest part. There's nothing you can say to change their mind. You could bring facts, evidence, real situations, and it just bounces right off. I've seen street interviews where people are asked to sign petitions and they agree instantly. Then when the full context is revealed, like serious, messed up details, they still double down and justify it. That's not normal. At that point, it's not even about logic anymore. It's about identity. It's about being so deep in an echo chamber that anything outside of it feels like an attack. And we've created a culture where personal responsibility is basically non-existent. Everything is someone else's fault. Everything is blamed on one figure, one side, one narrative. It's like, oh, you're successful? Who'd you vote for? You're happy? Who'd you vote for? Bro, what are we even doing anymore? People aren't thinking independently, they're reacting. They're living inside these bubbles where the same ideas just keep bouncing around, getting louder and more extreme. And honestly, that's the real problem.
Are exhaustive.
I talk a lot about being a former leftist who is now very conservative, though obviously the root of this is secularism versus religiosity. And that is the more important conversion. It just so happens that you truly cannot be a leftist or hold leftist policies if you are religious, particularly Catholic, Christian. And I'm interested in social politics and how our values can change the way we view social politics. So issues like identity, marriage, abortion. And I think why leftism breeds a lot of evil is because it lacks religiosity. You simply cannot be a Catholic, you cannot be a Christian while still holding leftist ideals. People will say, oh, you just hop from one party to another. And it's like, I guess, but that's because I thought about my values. I realized that I'm not interested in allowing for the slaughter of babies in the womb. I'm not interested in putting children in bad positions. I'm interested in conserving the nuclear family. And these all align with conservatism.
Look, here's the thing. A lot of people will straight up tell you, yeah, I voted for her or whoever, not because they truly believed in the policies, but simply because they didn't like Trump. And that right there already tells you something important. It's not always about what you stand for. Sometimes it's just about what you stand against. Now, don't get me wrong, that's one group. But then you've got another group that's even more confusing to me. People who call themselves liberals or Democrats, but when you actually listen to their values, low key, they sound conservative. And that's where I start asking questions. Like, how do you justify that? How do you align yourself with the party, defend it publicly, argue on its behalf, when deep down you know that's not even what you believe in? And I've seen it happen in real time. People will defend positions they don't even agree with. Why? Because they're trying to stay politically correct. They're trying to fit in with their circle, their community, whatever that looks like. Nobody wants to be the odd one out. Nobody wants to get called out or held accountable. So instead of standing on their actual beliefs, they perform. I've seen people defend things that, if you really sat them down privately, they'd probably admit they don't fully support. But in public, whole different energy. Whether it's debates around sports, identity topics, or even symbols being used in certain spaces, people just go along with it because it's easier than pushing back. And at some point, you got to ask yourself, where do you stand? For me, I've reached a place where I'm mature enough to understand that how I live my life is the real reflection of my values. Not what I post, not what I say to impress people, but what I actually stand on when it matters. If somebody asks me what I believe in, I'm not going to hesitate. Whether it's my faith, my principles, or even how I choose to vote, I'm standing on that 100%. No confusion, no switching up depending on who I'm around. But at the same time, I'm not out here wearing it like a costume either. I don't need to broadcast it 24/7 or walk around with labels on my chest. It's not about performative politics for me. It's about consistency. And I remember this one moment that really stood out. I went to a game wearing something that clearly showed where I stood politically. And the reaction? Honestly, nothing. Absolute silence. People were more surprised than anything else, like they didn't expect it. And that just proves the point. Most people are performative. They'll talk big online, but in real life, different story. At the end of the day, growth is a real thing. People act like switching perspectives or evolving your views is some kind of betrayal. It's not. That's called learning. That's called getting more information and making better decisions. You're supposed to grow. You're not meant to be the exact same person you were a year ago, or even a few months ago. As you learn more, your perspective should sharpen. And when you finally reach a point where you can think for yourself, outside of group pressure, outside of labels, you start making decisions based on what's actually best for you and your family. So yeah, I really don't get why people have a problem with that.
I've never talked about a political party. I've never even used the word Republican. And while I typically vote Republican these days because I'm not interested in the leftist policies that the Democrats push, but that doesn't mean that I support every single thing the Republican Party does. This is about morality. And yes, morality is bigger than politics.
Let me know what you think down in the comments. Make sure you hit the link in the description and show some love. Don't forget to support. Exclusive content waiting for you. I appreciate y'all for real. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.